And I'm going to be 100% honest. I was upset. I was really upset. Because my dumb rump, I know you guys probably watched it. I made a YouTube short. I made a TikTok video. You know, I've been trying to get on my TikTok stuff and make all my TikTok videos. I made a TikTok short about this team last week because they played absolutely phenomenal. And yes, I'm talking about the Green Bay Packers. They played one of the best games that they have, probably the best game that they played all year. And I was sitting there saying, you know what? This is the Packers ceiling. This is the championship Green Bay Packers that I have been talking about and everyone's been talking about since the first week of the season when they had that great performance against the Lions. And if they play like this, they can win the Super Bowl. But Jordan Love and the Packers just decided to spit in my face yesterday and put out that absolute abysmal performance that they put on display yesterday. They sucked yesterday. I kept up with this game. One, because I somewhat enjoy watching the Carolina Panthers. I don't know why. Maybe because they're from my hometown, and I kind of want Carolina to be good. But I mainly watch this game, too, because it's the Packers, and I want to watch the Packers. And I absolutely love the uniforms. You can see in the lower third, the one that Jordan Love had on. I thought the uniforms were absolutely phenomenal. But what the crap happened yesterday? They didn't punt. They had 4 trips to the red zone, didn't score. How many points did they score in the first half? Roughly 6 points in the first half. Has my stock in the Packers fallen? Absolutely. This is the problem I was talking about earlier when it comes to Packers. I brought it up earlier in the year, which I don't think I brought it up to you guys, but I was talking with a couple of buddies of mine, talking about fantasy football and stuff. And I was talking about the Packers, and I was like, when they had the game against the Browns, I was like, dude, Jordan Love is going to be a problem. Jordan Love has to show up. I might even talk to this about my podcast. That was weeks ago. This was roughly probably 6 weeks ago. And I was talking about, I'm like, dude, Jordan Love is going to be the reason why. And I brought it up last week in my TikTok video. I was like, dude, Jordan Love is going to be the reason why the Packers either get to the Super Bowl or don't. Because it all rides on him. And yesterday, that offense was god-awful. Jordan Love's numbers, they look pretty decent. But if you guys actually watch this game, Jordan Love was 26 for 37, 273 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Jordan Love was awful yesterday. If you would have saw some of the throws that he made, they were head-scratching. I kept saying to myself, Jordan Love, what are you doing? He threw the 1 interception into triple coverage, and the Panthers finally made him pay for it. But there were like 3 or 4 other instances where Jordan Love threw it into double, triple coverage, and the Panthers just didn't pick it off. If anything, excuse me, I don't know why I keep burping, but the Packers wide receivers were playing defense. He was even throwing hospital balls. Golden, the deep ball he threw to Golden, he had to lay out for it, and he got absolutely rocked trying to get it, and he was out for the rest of the game after that. The Packers just did not look good yesterday against an inferior team at home in those weather conditions. You cannot lose that game. And this is no slight against the Panthers. That's just how good of a that's how good this roster is in comparison to the Panthers. And that they were at home, they were playing in those conditions, and you had those nice uniforms on. You were paying homage to history. And they come out playing that flat. That's a problem. Jordan Love was not good. The offense looked like, they were able to run the ball pretty good. Josh Jacobs, 17 carries, 87 yards. He averaged 5 yards a carry. But for some reason, this offense is like, I want to throw it deep. And that is what they tried to do all day yesterday, and the Panthers wouldn't let them do it. And then they had the turnovers. The turnovers that they have not committed all season. They committed as many turnovers yesterday as they have all year. They just didn't look good yesterday. Something that was alarming too, which is, this ain't a shot against Micah. I know many people are like, oh, dude, you're a Cowboys fan. We see the Cowboys blink in the background, so you want to say anything to try and hate on Micah. No, I'm not. I don't think this is going to be a trend going forward, but it was kind of interesting. I don't know if he got a pressure at the end of the game. This was a stat that came up roughly with 5 minutes left in the game, so I don't know if Micah ended up getting a pressure, but Micah had no pressures, like with 5 minutes left in the game. That is the first time that that's ever happened in his career. The defense, and this ain't a slide against Micah because that stat is kind of like worth 5 cents. Because if we look at the box score and if you watched the game yesterday, Bryce Young did not play well. Bryce Young was 11 for 20, 102 yards, 1 interception, no touchdowns. The 1 interception that he threw to Xavier McKinney in the red zone, it was absolutely abysmal, trying to throw a go ball to Xavier Legette. But the Packers did their job. They scored 16 points. Granted, did they let Rico Dowdle do whatever he wanted to do yesterday? Absolutely. He rushed for 130 yards, averaged 5.2 yards a carry. Yeah, he done whatever he wanted to do. And it felt like when the thick got thin, the Packers just could not get a stop. Ran out of gas, and Rico Dowdle punished them. And they were able to win the game with a game-winning field goal. But defensively, I think they've done their job. This is a problem with the offense. And it's happened multiple times already this year. It happened with the Browns, and it happened with the Panthers yesterday. Your defense plays well. They score 13, 16 points. In this stage NFL, that's nothing. Maybe 10 years ago, 16 points is a lot. But giving up 16 points in 2025, sign anybody up for that. Yep, I go ask the Dallas Cowboys right now. If their defense could give up 16 points, oh, absolutely. Give me that any night. And that's what the Packers have been doing. They played pretty well on defense. And Jordan Love and company just decided yesterday to go out and put an absolute stinker on offense. This has been the problem with Jordan Love and the Packers. This has been the problem with Matt LaFleur. It's the inconsistency. I've said the same thing with Bo Nix, and it's something that's going to plague the young quarterbacks until, they continue to get better as their career wanes. But if you're a Packers fan, you're not happy with what's going on. Then you got Philly next week. I don't know if they play at Philly or at Lambeau, but that's a big game. So dropping this game was a bummer because your division's not easy. Caleb Williams, they keep winning games. Detroit, they got beat yesterday, but we know, they played the Vikings. The Vikings are good. They're just missing a quarterback. But the Packers just weren't good yesterday. And talk about Carolina just real quick. Carolina aren't pushovers. Defensively, I think they're really good. Moreg, number 7, he was flying across the ball yesterday. They were able to get somewhat of a pass rush. They flew across the ball. They covered well. I think they're well coached. Bryce wasn't good, but I think they just ran the ball pretty well, and I think that's the identity that Dave Canales has been trying to establish in Carolina. They're a run-first team. When thick comes to thin, they're going to rush. And that's kind of what happened with Bryce Young's interception. They ran 2 straight times, didn't get it nothing, and then it's like, okay, Bryce Young, we kind of got to let you make a play now in the red zone, and he threw a pick. But I love what I'm seeing out of Carolina. Granted, I'm saying that from just I am a Carolinian. I don't know why I was about to say former. I live in the Carolinas. But and the Panthers franchise has been a joke since Cam Newton has departed. And it kind of feels good to see them win. I mean, they're 5-4. They have the same record as the Kansas City Chiefs. And their schedule hasn't been easy. I mean, they have played pretty tough teams. I mean, they played the Packers, they played New England, they played Jacksonville. I mean, their schedule has not been the easiest. And they played Buffalo last week and they got steamrolled. And I think going forward, their schedule, they got pretty much division games, Atlanta and New Orleans. They still got to play San Francisco and the Rams and Seattle. So their schedule does not get any easier. So they're going to play in some good games. But Carolina's a good watch. Bryce Young has flashes of being good, and we saw it yesterday. He can make some big throws, but he's got to get more consistent. And that is something I think Dave Canales will continue to do going into next year. I think Dave Canales is the best hire they've had since they fired Ron Rivera. That's my personal opinion. I think Dave Canales has done a pretty good job of what he's been given. He really doesn't have the big name talent on the defensive side of the ball, and even on offense. Ted McMillan, I think he's going to be pretty good as an NFL pro. But when you look on the offensive side of the ball, outside of now Rico Dowdle's a surgence, I guess is the word you can say. Not resurgence, because he's never, been great. But yeah, you got Chuba Hubbard, pretty good player. If they can hit a draft pick, I mean, Leggette's been an absolute disappointment. But if they can hit on another wide receiver, and the offensive line has played pretty good. Yesterday, they protected Bryce Young pretty well. Bryce Young was not even under duress that much. So I think the O-line's been protecting real good. If you can continue to shore up that O-line, I think the Panthers will be pretty good going forward. So that was my thoughts on that game, and shame on the Packers, man. That was absolutely embarrassing. If I am Matt LaFleur, I'm furious because Jordan Love's got to play better. Because if he plays like that, we can't have that going into the postseason. We just can't have it.